Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly. We're back with another East Tennessee fishing report with Ellis Ward. How are you, Ellis?
I'm doing well, Marv. How are you?
As always, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble and been watching the Instagram feed in East Tennessee. Looks like the sulfurs have arrived, brother.
Yeah, man. Feels nice. Feels nice to see the yellow bugs flying around. And as a guide, as an angler, partially as a tire, it feels nice to see fish eating them.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool, right? Because doesn't the South Holston have one of the longest sulfur hatches in the country?
Whew. You're out of my depth very quickly there. And I don't know. That feels like something you hear. And then there's part of me that says, who's measuring that? But it really, I mean, just objectively, I've only been on a handful of streams that have sulfur hatches, and both the South Holston and the Watauga are, kind of mid to late May through late June. So it can be day to day, as with all fishing and dry fly hatches, but it is really a good chunk of the summer. And you get them through July. It's not as prolific, and there's blue wings and midges, and the whole time it's an all you can eat buffet. But those big for tailwaters, 14, 16. And what's fun about that is you can fish 12s and they're eating 12s. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but that larger size bug lasting for the better part of a really solid month and really tailing out through July. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and of course it sets up your favorite program, right? Dry fly to the risers and pull streamers the rest of the time.
Yeah, it's just too fun. And with the Watauga generating from 1 to 6 every afternoon, outside of Sundays through the summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, that we have water for 4 to 5 hours. And that big water, I think there's some misconceptions around, dry fly fishing and it being hot in the low water. Look, if it's low water all summer, I'm going to tell you the dry fly fishing's hot because I'm going to figure out what to do. The high water dry fly fishing, yes, on the South Holston, yes, definitely on the Watauga. The Watauga has flows that are scheduled for 6 days a week. And the whitewater rafting companies that bring a lot of people to this area, we'll say that. They depend on that. And so that's not going anywhere. And in high water dry fly fishing, it can be like low water. They're a little more localized, but man, when they find a place that they're happy in high water, they're not going all the way back down to the bottom. They're hanging right there. So it's sort of the same as that low water, finding the shelves and all that. Just a different game.
Yeah, and then of course, that we're also, as it starts to warm up, we start to really get into the thick of mouse season too, right?
Just about to talk through it, man, on that timeline. Start, meeting early to mid-afternoon. I mean, I was just talking with a client earlier today, and first time fishing with me and kind of saying, I'll meet in the morning. It's like, well, it's going to be coming late summer. I said, again, it depends. Some days I do want to meet in the morning. It depends on the weather, but that evening hatch, it can be really, really good. And then it gives us the option to hang out and mouse.
Yeah, there you go. And got a streamer question for you too. So, Brenner wanted to get your thoughts. I know we've had a ton of rain in our part of the world recently, and I know that you're a little bit protected, but less protected on the Watauga because of the Doe River, and wanted to get your thoughts on color combos for streamers when you're fishing in stained water.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to start officially beating this drum publicly. I don't care about color. That's incorrect. I want something that is white. Maybe like some sort of off olive yellow, something that I can really, really see. And when I say that, something you can see, something clients can see. And I'm probably fishing it pretty high in the water column. And if I can get it to be bigger, I would appreciate that as well. I would say it depends on how you're fishing. So for a lot of my fishing as a guide, and even when I'm out on my own on either of the rivers, it's hard to say fishing to fish. It's not like I know exactly that cast is perfect, but man, some of them, yeah, at this point I do. And so it's finding those spots, and I want something they can see. And I've just amassed enough data at this point to say that something with opacity, something that is opaque, light does not penetrate it. I don't care if it's white. When something's coming from below it, there's no light down there. And then if it's closer to the surface, aka closer to sunlight, it projects more of a difference in light. So if it's down low, there's not as much light hitting the top of it to create a profile below. So it's really just putting a spotlight, shining something to give the fish the silhouette to say, I'm going to eat that thing. And I've seen it happen now. I know I've said this before, but I will continue to say it. I've seen brown trout blow through the water, erupting on a streamer, taking it through the surface in all but chocolate. I mean, all but like debris-filled chocolate milk. Really, I would say unfishable water, relative to my understanding before doing what I've been doing for the last 4 years. So higher in the water column and something that really does block light. That's not feathers. It's, craft fur changers are two of my favorites. And then I have a streamer that I have sort of jokingly called the loaf, which is more like an articulated, just a 2-section craft fur streamer. And the rate of success there, and I've had days where we switch to that and it's immediate. So more than a few of those days. And I think that folks should be willing to try it at this point because, gosh, it's too fun. Was I under no on that one?
No, you did great. I literally just put the safety back on the trigger. So you're good. But to follow up,
another couple minutes.
Yeah, but to follow up on that, see, this is how I'm going to get you your extra couple minutes. So you like a lighter colored fly because if you're fishing high, you want the predator to see the belly, right? And so that's the color jam.
I'll clarify there. The color jam is for human eyes. I want something that I can see. I want something that the angler can see. And as you go away from white, I've tried to convince myself that black is really visible, but it's just not. So there isn't much light below the streamer. The sun's coming from the top of it, shining directly down. And then the trout normally are sharking it. If you're fishing higher in the water column, they're coming from below. So there's really no thought process around color outside of I want to track what's happening, and in muddy water, that can be more challenging. So the whiter and really if you want to do a lot of flash, go nuts. But I have this this Rolodex, this montage of video clips in my head of watching these events, striper, brown trout, eat big crab fur changers, and the swim bug fishing higher in the water column, to a certain extent the drunk. One of the great things, and in this very specific instance, one of the drawbacks is that the drunk finds depth pretty quickly. So keeping something that rides higher in the water column is kind of where the swim bug comes in this instance. And then crab fur changer is just, or your retrieve speed, trying to make sure you're keeping it up where it should be. And yeah, at that point, you know, all these clips have a fly with very little flash involved.
Got it. How about rattles?
Big fan. Now, kind of tough because some of these, you know, I'm thinking of fishing the drunk and having fish track it up to the boat and eating on that kill, eating on that pump fake just before you take it out. Don't. Pretend like you're going to take it out and then don't. So when it hangs on the surface there for a second, so I don't know, are they tracking it in because of the rattle and then they're finally eating it because of that boat side, let's hang out at the surface for a second? So do we bypass that and just fish higher in the water column and not worry about flash or rattles? But as a rule, I like to add them in where I can. You know, last thing on that is a lot of these high water, muddy water, 40-inch strike, giant fish inhaling a fly at the surface and about 4 gallons of water. Browns doing the same thing, not 40 inches. Those are without rattles and very little flash. I don't think those two things hurt, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. And, you know, folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email them to us or DM us on social media, whatever is easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some Articulate Fly swag. And we're going to enter a drawing for something cool from Ellis at the end of the season. And, you know, Ellis, I know you're stacking days on your calendar. You want to let folks know, you know, where they can find you, what you have available, how they can talk fishing and book you. But also, I suspect you might be hanging on to a few Easter pastel bucktails you might want to share with folks.
Yeah. So best way to contact me for anything really is my cell phone at 513-543-0019. Instagram is at Ellis Ward Guides, and website is elliswardflies.com. As for bucktail, I will be moving nearby, and the new spot has a 30 by 40 workshop, so things are going to get sporty next deer season. And currently, yeah, I have a good number of tails left, and pretty sure some 2s and 3s. But yeah, definitely continuing to develop that part of the business as well. And as for vulnerability, and I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, if you are interested in the dry fly and mousing, give me a shout and let's get some good dates on the calendar. If we can get dates with the right moons and things like that, it's better to plan around that one. Some of the stuff can be day to day, but if you're planning night fish, let's talk about it now.
Yeah, there you go. And remember, folks, we've got 2 great opportunities in our community. You know, one of them is $100 off guide credit with Ellis, and another is a 10% discount on bucktails. So check that out. That's hosted over on our Patreon site, and there's a link in the show notes. And, you know, as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ellis.
Appreciate it, Marv.